Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday night for us, Wednesday morning for you guys. You guys know what that means tonight? Bible study. We have Bible study tonight. And wow. We had Pastor Thomas over on Sunday, and wow, it was a great service, great fellowship. We had a huge feast for him after, and it was really nice, guys. And hopefully you're able to enjoy the sermon, the service, the worship, everything. You know, sometimes you can push yourself so far that, because just getting things ready, like I said, I think I said, I already said it. I already said it on the video I did with Pastor Thomas, but yeah, we're just now recuperating. My allergies, I get them usually in the springtime. Right now, my eyes are itchy, my throat is itchy a little bit, and Sharon hasn't been feeling very well. She's been resting. She overexerted herself, and we basically have not left the house other than me making a run to the grocery store, or I think today, yeah, I went and got coffee. But other than that, she hasn't left the house since we got home Sunday afternoon. I went to meet Pastor Thomas by myself, and today just stayed home. You know, hoping to feel better, get better, especially her. And that's it, you know. But I wanted to give you guys a video, and I was thinking about a series I want to do for Sunday services. I want to look at my Bible. I haven't had a chance to look as far as what the sermon is going to be, because, well, this Sunday's Mother's Day, so we're going to have something special for Mother's Day. But after that, the following Sundays, I'm thinking of a sermon series on the parables of Jesus. So many of his parables, they're so deep, they're so powerful, and I think they're worth to take a look at and break it down and create a series of them, to be able to visit a lot of them and really break it down and talk about them, because there's so much wisdom, you know, in those. And yeah, just thinking about that. And there's another thing that I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but we're hoping for something really big to happen as far as prison ministry. Don't really want to share what it is until a meeting that I have tomorrow or this morning for you guys, and maybe I'll be able to share depending on what information I get. But it's something that I'm really excited about for prison ministry, more than I asked about, because I had asked the Lord to let me back into Atwater to minister there, and if this goes the way I think it's going, it's 1,000 times bigger than that. So, but like I said, I'll share more when it's more concrete. And but that's going good. I'm sorry, guys, I'm just all stuffed up right here. I was actually in the room, and I told Sharon, I said, I'm gonna go do devotional, and you know, I don't have a specific verse in my mind right now, but there's a lot of things that I had a great talk with Pastor Thomas. Not only the talk I had with him in the podcast room, but just talk. We were able to. I've known him for many years, and usually when I talk to him, it's never one-on-one. There's always a few people around, and we have good talks. Don't get me wrong, you know. But this was the first time in all the years I've known him that I had him just to myself. Like, we checked him out of the hotel room, and we went to eat. And it was just me and him, and we were able to share, and I was hearing him out about a lot about how he even got into Grace International and some of the people he's met, and some of the people I've met now that he's known for a long time. And then ministry and things. And he's somebody that I highly respect as a mentor. I highly respect him. The guy has almost been 50 years in ministry. I mean, think about that. In ministry. I have been in ministry 13 years. He's been in ministry almost 50. So it would be silly of me not to pick his brain and talk to him about some things. And I was able to see some things that I can do better. Things that that happen that could help issues and problems. And I can't wait to, because I love the fact that he was able to say, you know what, these are issues, these are problems, these are wins, these are victories, but sometimes it'll look different in Modesto than it does in Nigeria or in Texas or in wherever. He says you have to really take it to the Lord and say, okay, Lord, how do you want me to handle this, even though I have this wisdom that was given to me? But how do I handle it in the atmosphere of Modesto, in the atmosphere of the dynamics of House of Rest? So, the different things, you know, and it's had me thinking, really thinking, you know, about things and how to fix things, make things run better, run smoother, run in a way where voices are heard, and some voices are just shut down. Honestly, you know, and it's just been, you know, in my head I've been thinking about those things, you know, because he says you are in a very you're in a very interesting position where God has placed you guys in a facility that allows so much growth. He's never said that before. Every time he came, every building he's came to, he would say, God's going to give you something bigger. God's going to give you something bigger. And then the next year he would come. He says, oh, this is beautiful, this is nice, but God's going to give you something bigger. And then he'd come the next year. This is nice, this is beautiful, but God's going to give you something bigger, because God knows the vision that he has for Modesto. Not for me, not for Sharon, but for Modesto. And this time he didn't say that. And it's crazy, because that's what confirmed to me, because I don't want a bigger place. I love where we're at. I love the fact that we have the classrooms and the room for the pantry, room for the youth, room for the podcast room, room for offices for the different, you know, different ministries and whatnot, and a room for the Bible college, you know. So I'm happy. And he confirmed it, because he didn't come and, for the first time, he didn't say, this is nice, but God's going to give you a bigger place. He didn't say that. This time, it was more of, now that God has placed you here, dynamics are going to change. Things are going to move. Things are going to shift, because you can't operate like as if you were 20 or 30 people anymore. And even if you want to, you can't. And if you apply what you've been doing with 20, 30, 50 people, and you apply it to this place, it's going to go bad. It's going to go wrong, you know. And when he says that, after 50 years of experience, I'm going to listen, I'm going to hear, I'm going to take heed to it, I'm going to take it to God, you know, that, and it makes sense. It really, truly does, you know. And but I think that it's uncharted. Is that the right word? Uncharted territory for us. We've never been here, you know, and we want to do things right. We want to do things where it brings encouragement, where it brings growth, where it brings leadership, and it raises people up, and it encourages, and you know, but like he says, if you don't change in a way where it's not change but adjust, and if you stay the way operating as if you were still back in the warehouse, it won't be good. It just won't, you know. So a lot of things I've been thinking about, and I honestly, I haven't really got it straight in my head yet to share it, you know, but I'm sure either in devotional or in a sermon or in a Bible study, I will share, you know. But I think those things are important, you know. It made me think, like growing up, for instance, you know, let's say when you're a child and you were in, like for me, when I was in elementary, you were in the same classroom. First grade, second grade, third grade, that was your teacher. Like that teacher is the one that taught you everything. That teacher taught you just different periods or different hours, when, you know, English or reading or mathematics, history, social studies, whatever it was. And then when you got into junior high or middle school, all of a sudden you had different classes, you know, and the schools were bigger, at least for me, you know, because I remember I grew up in North School in Tracy, and it was a very small elementary school, but it didn't feel small. It felt perfect, but had I stayed there instead of going to junior high, then it would have felt small, you know, and it was just the right thing. And then so not only went to a bigger school, junior high, but now it was in the same classroom. It's sort of, they sort of is like a transition, because my core class, I still had a core class, but then there was math, and there was, you know, different things like that. And then in high school it was full blown. Like you didn't have a main teacher in high school. You just had teachers, you know, and things had to be done differently because you were getting older. Your learning was different, and everything was different. And I guess there's no way I couldn't have been in high school and been treated the same way as my kindergarten teacher treated us, or the first grade teacher. There's growth, you know, and there's different ways of doing things, you know, and I think it's been an interesting season. It's been a good season. It's been a scary season, you know, honestly. But it's been a rewarding season because there's so much things that God is doing. So many things God is doing at the church. And I will say this, that he said that out of a lot of the churches he visits, he says, House of Rest has always been very free spiritually, where the Holy Spirit is not hindered. He says that's always been true. He said, but this time, the atmosphere was different. He says there was a freedom. There was a flowing of the Holy Spirit in that place from the moment you came in, when you heard worship. The dynamics of the congregation while he was preaching, and the altar call. He says that, my friend, is different. There's a freedom in this place. And that was very, very encouraging, because again, that's confirmation, because I sense that too. But you know, when I'm there every Sunday, I don't see it. But for him to go from one year to the next, boom, it was just like a complete change. You know, and that was very encouraging. And it was very encouraging because I feel like we're on the right track. Doesn't mean that we got everything down perfect, but we're in the right track, because ultimately things can be fixed. But if the Spirit of God isn't there, then how can it be fixed? But the Spirit of God is there. People are growing. People are learning. People are opening themselves up to the very presence of a holy God. You know, and the rest can be learned and taught, of just interacting of interacting with each other, interacting within the church family, interacting with leaders, leaders interacting with congregation, people interacting with outside voices, people interacting. And I love this. This is crazy to me. How he said, and if you saw the video, I'm sorry, I'm repeating it, but he says that imagine like a hill, and on one side, they're the 10%, that help you. He says most times it's only 10% of the congregation that actually helps helps the church run. And unfortunately, that's a truth. It's a sad truth because the women that do help, the men that do help, are exhausted. Because out of a congregation of 20, many times it's literally like, on a good day, 12 people that really truly carry the whole church. And but anyways, he said that, so you have that 10% here. He says, and then on the hill, you have 80%, different people on different levels. But then on this side, you have another 10% of people that will never agree with you. They don't agree with the church. And he says, and they're always going to be there. You have the 10 that help carry everything, and the 10 that will never do nothing but talk. And he says, then you got the 80 in the middle. And depending how you are with this 10%, it could, he says, without the proper teaching, these 10 will influence the 80, and the 80 will start to go, and it causes division. And I never heard it said that way. But as he was saying it, I sensed truth. You know, it's crazy. Like even these things that are, like I've been watching the news and these protests that are happening in universities across the country, for instance. And I found it very interesting that sometimes people have pulled a person apart from the protesting, and they've asked, like, why are you out here? Like, I really want to know for my channel, like, inform me, teach me. Why are you out here protesting? And most of the people have no idea. They're just following the crowd. They're just following the crowd. They're the 80%. And most likely, there's 10% really that know what's going on, or know the cause, or know whether it's right or wrong, they know. And the rest just follow. Just sheep. Non-informed. You know, and it's like, it's not even about, like, if you're going to be out there, at least know exactly why you're out there. Whether you and I agree with them or not, at the very least, know why you're out there. You know, and I think the same goes with the church. You know, at the very least, you know, there's something I learned in prison. And I think it kept me alive. And it's a simple thing, and I think we all know it, but when it happens close to us, we forget it. Which is this, is to look at every situation in a 360 degrees. Because you have your point of view. See, like right now I'm in the living room, and my point of view is the front door, the television, my aquarium, and the cross wall. But if somebody is standing by the door looking at me, they're in the same room as me. But their point of view is different because the door is behind their back. Instead, they're going to see this, they're going to see this chair, they're going to see my paintings. We're both in the same room, but we both are seeing the room differently. And when issues come up in ministry, If you don't try to have a 360-degree vision, you're like 99% going to get the situation wrong, because you are standing in the situation from one side of it, and that's all you see. And if you don't walk around the whole room to see everything, you're going by a very small amount of information from your point of your perception. As a pastor, if I operated that way, the church would never last. You know, sometimes something looks like something, and if I don't open my mouth and say something or ask, all I can go by is by my perception. And what if it's wrong? What if I talk to somebody and they say, you know what, from my side, this is how it looks. And I'm like, you know what? I could see that. Or maybe it's your perception is wrong because you're going only by yours. I'm trying to see a 360. That's why I'm asking. But I think that happens a lot. And the weirdest thing to me, ultimately, is if you know somebody, if you say you love somebody, if you care about somebody, why would you not try to visualize 360 that friendship or that relationship or whatever it is? You're setting yourself up for failure. You know, and I think that's very important not to do. We got to have 360 vision, guys, or else you're going to get it wrong almost every time. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially if you don't practice it. But I think if we practice it, things would be a lot better. Ministry would be a lot better. Church would be a lot better. Relationship would be a lot better. That old saying, put yourself in their shoes. You know, so anyways, Bible study tonight. Prayer starts at 6:30. Bible study starts at 7 with worship. It's our midweek service. And join us. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you get the notifications. That way, you know, you get busy, you're about to have dinner, and then you forget. Put the notifications on by subscribing to the channel. Hit like, leave a comment, and share. Those are 4 things that you can do to help this channel grow. Is subscribe, hit like, comment, and share. Those 4 things is great for the algorithm of YouTube in order to get to other people. And hopefully by tomorrow I'll know a little bit more information about prison ministry, and I'll be able to share a little bit more about that. But it's something I'm really excited about, guys. Just the possibility. And we'll see. So, all right, guys. God bless you. Thank you so much. And see you tomorrow.